Am I the idiot for not answering any contact from work while on maternity leave? I work for my cousin. We're in the same field, but he owns a business. I started working for him 5 years ago and worked my way up to second or third in command at his fairly small company. I took 9 months of maternity leave, starting 2 weeks before my due date. My child is now 6 months old, meaning I am currently in my 7th month of leave, and go back to work in about 10 weeks. During the last 7 months, there's been a few crises at work. They called me and I fixed it. They should not have been doing this, due to my maternity leave, but I didn't mention it because these were legitimate crises, and most of the time it was my cousin asking. However, because I'm entering the end of my leave, I want some time completely free of work to recharge before I have to dive back in. So, starting 2 weeks ago, I stopped answering my phone. At some point it died, so I put it in a drawer and haven't plugged it in since. I have a landline for emergencies, a laptop to keep in touch with people, and a TV for entertainment, so I'm enjoying the break from the phone without issue. However, my cousin tried to call me about a week ago to get help with a client I handle. I had passed this client on to someone else, but something went wrong. My cousin called me to help, and because I didn't answer, we lost the client. I knew their contract was up for renewal, but I didn't think there would be any issues, so I saw no reason to check my phone. My cousin has told our family what happened. He's furious with me for not having my phone turned on when I knew that client would be up for renewal. He also says that as I had been answering my phone this whole time, I should have warned someone that I would be uncontactable. I have called the client and tried to fix it, but they've already signed on with someone else. My cousin, wanting to stop this from happening again as several more clients are up for renewal in the next couple months, has said I have to be available for the next couple months, so he can call me if there is another issue. I've said that I am on maternity leave, and therefore I should be left alone, so I will be leaving my phone off, and it's shitty of him to ask otherwise. My cousin said that I was being selfish and accused me of trying to frick him over, and my mother and aunt agree with him, saying if I don't answer my phone, there may not be a company to come back to, and accused me of taking advantage of him because he's my cousin, as anyone else would have fired me over this. I've responded that if my cousin can't run his own business without me, then he's incompetent and shouldn't be in charge of an omelet, let alone a company. They said that was uncalled for, and told me to switch my mobile on now so he can call me if he needs to, but I'm still refusing. Am I the idiot? Edit. Why do people think I went away with no plans in place? I had 6 months between figuring out I'd need the leave and going on leave, and I spent those 6 months assigning my clients to my coworkers, bringing people up to speed on said clients, and even holding meetings where I introduced the clients to their new handlers. I worked all of this out months ago. Now, for a few comments before the update. Everyone sucks here. He shouldn't have called you on maternity leave, but you had been answering the phone all through the previous 7 months. I don't think anyone can blame him for expecting you to still be taking work calls at the end as well. You should have just made it clear at the beginning that you weren't going to take any work calls at all. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Disclaimer. No workplace should expect an employee of any kind to be contactable during any form of leave, be it annual leave, sick leave, or maternity/paternity leave. Where I think you're the idiot here though is that by not saying from the start that you were uncontactable, you created the expectation that you would be available to some degree. You should have nipped it in the bud at the beginning. It is also perfectly reasonable of you to get to a point down the line where you say enough is enough and tell them that for the remainder of your leave you will not be contactable. But to just go no contact without alerting anyone was not professional. Now for the update. Most of you agreed that I should not be working for my cousin. I mentioned in the last post that I'd had some offers from competitors, and while most paid about the same, they required a step down in my career. A few of you pointed out that if I can earn the same money after a step down, something isn't matching up. I did some research and came to the conclusion that I am being overworked and underpaid. I also triple-checked all my notes for the last 7 months of leave, and calculated that I had worked for 87 days out of just over 200. That was where I hit my limit. I then reached out to some of the people who had made offers previously, and asked if they could give me a formal offer. 3 of them did. My favorite has fewer hours/responsibilities and more money, and they're fine waiting on me to finish up my planned maternity leave, 9 more weeks, before I start. I had a check-in day scheduled for later this month, but pulled it forward to Monday and asked my cousin and a few others to be there. I laid out all of the above. I was open to negotiating in a way that would let me stay in the company, but my cousin flew off the handle, and after that we agreed that me staying was no longer an option. As I have 9 weeks of leave left, I will hand in my notice, meaning I will not come back to work, but I will be paid for this time, as well as compensated for the leave I lost. My cousin has blocked me on everything, but his mom has called my mom, who has been yelling at me for 2 days. I've had to block my own mother. My cousin is attempting to rally our entire family against me, but I have Nan on my side, so he is not succeeding. I am never working with my family again. Comment 1. Congrats on the new opportunities coming to you soon. Everyone should remember, nobody enters into a work relationship with family anticipating it turning into messy poop. Nobody. So when you think to yourself, I can't see those horror stories happening to us, just remember, either did the people in the horror stories. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Wow, you really showed your true colors in this update. Not only did you betray your cousin and leave the company hanging, but now you're bad-mouthing your own family and blocking your own mother? You're burning bridges left and right. Yes, you may have received some offers from competitors, but that doesn't excuse your unprofessional behavior and lack of consideration for your cousin's business. You claim to have been overworked and underpaid, but instead of addressing those issues in a mature and professional manner, you decided to throw a tantrum and walk away. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my fiancé he can't invite his uncle, aunt, and cousin to our wedding? Last night my, female 27, fiancé, male 29, had a nightmare that woke him up. What it was about is irrelevant, so we were up talking at 5 a.m. All of a sudden he tells me that his dad started speaking to his brother, fiancé's uncle, again, and that now we had to invite them to our wedding. We're on a tight budget. So tight it's unheard of in our area. So far we think we can pull it off, but we need to keep our guest list under 50 people, so we're considered a micro wedding. I've had to cut a lot of people from my side who we both love and really want there. But it's the price to pay if we want a wedding and to not just elope, so I accepted it. His sister has absolutely tortured me the entire 10 years we've been dating. Not enough characters to get into details. It makes me sick to my stomach to be in the same room as her. But he said, she's family, she has to be there. So I gave in and reluctantly said fine. Because of how she treats me, they're definitely not close anymore. But he says, she's still my sister. We're at our 50-person limit. We can't invite more people. So I told him hard no to his aunt, uncle, and cousin coming. Besides, his aunt is just as bad as his sister. She doesn't even want us together. I don't want 2 people who make me uncomfortable. This aunt, uncle, and cousin did not congratulate us on our engagement, nor have they ever reached out to my fiancé to say hello, happy birthday, ask to see him, ask how he is, etc. There was no fight between the uncle and his family and my fiancé's family. They just grew apart over the years. So here's why I think I'm not the idiot. I've already compromised twice. I cut so many relatives who mean the world to me and who I can't imagine getting married without, and I compromised by agreeing that his sister could come. Also, I had to knock 2 additional people off so there was a spot for his sister and her boyfriend. So I feel like I've done my share of compromising and losing out in the guest list department. In addition to my personal feelings, we have a strict limit from the venue that keeps us under 50 people. If we go above that, we're considered a regular-sized wedding, which adds thousands in fees that would put us too far over budget. This is the cheapest venue in our area and they all have similar rules, so switching isn't an option. I think I might be the idiot because it is his family. Maybe I should care less about my own feelings and cut something else. Would have to be a DJ or photographer, so we can afford to invite them? He was mad enough that he rolled away from me. We were cuddling, and didn't talk to me the rest of the night, technically morning, and he didn't wake me up to kiss me goodbye in the morning. I asked him to do that. He's not being a prick by waking me up. That's not a typical reaction from him, so I could tell he was hurt. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Maybe talk about this again when it's not the middle of the night. Probably when he's had some time to think about it / it's not 5 a.m. he will be more reasonable. If not, then he can find some people to cut from his side if he really wants them there. Pick a time when you're both awake, fed, not drunk, ideally before 9 p.m. and then talk about it again. Turn the problem back on him. Okay, we can have 50 guests, you have these 25 people on your side, adding extra people will cost this much. What do you think is the best solution? Then the original poster responded with, I'm so glad we don't drink. Wedding planning drunk sounds like a not very good time. Haha. You're right though. 5 a.m. was not the time for this. Comment 2. Info. How many people were invited on each side? Then the original poster responded with, "Relative-wise, I have one more persona than he does. But we've been together 10 years, so at this point anyone not related to us is our friend, not really mine or his. So I guess that's equal to? I could try to go in and try to divide up the friends if you think that matters." Now for the update. Hi everyone. I figured I'd update on my last post. Most gave great advice, others took giant leaps based on one post. Some people thought we should break up over this or that we shouldn't have gotten engaged in the first place. Character limits meant leaving out a lot of details regarding that stuff. Fiancé does protect me from his sister, an aunt, and anything else in life I need protecting from. We've steered clear of aunt as much as possible, and he always defended me if we couldn't avoid her. Maybe torture was too strong of a word, but I was upset. She tells him to break up with me for being ugly and not having big enough boobs. She's told me if I loved him I'd leave. He was a big shot football player in high school and I was the nerd who ate lunch alone. Classmates, and for some reason his aunt didn't want to see us together, and apparently some of them are still stuck in high school. Having his sister in and out of my life has been my decision. She's mentally ill, and before her latest/biggest decline we were extremely close. I love her more than anything and miss her so bad it hurts. I want her to get help and get better so she can be a part of my life again. I struggle with keeping her away worse than he does sometimes. He never let her do anything or force me to do anything. I'll admit my fiancé wasn't always perfect about boundaries and such, but that was in the beginning of our relationship when we were both literally children. We've both grown since then. As I mentioned, he had a really bad nightmare, and this conversation took place at 5 a.m. when he woke up literally crying from it. And he is very much not a crier. The nightmare was about his father dying. We already lost my mother-in-law not too long ago, and the thought of losing his dad too terrified him. The comment about his aunt and uncle was one sentence he blurted out in the middle of all that. We talked about it the next evening when he got home from work. He brought it up to me first, actually, and said, "Please forget what I said last night. It would be really stupid to invite those three. I was just having a moment," and I said okay and reminded him that his dad is okay and asked if he wanted to plan a day trip to go visit. He said yes, and we went the next day and had a great time. Oh, I also asked him why he would roll over and ignore me, and he said his intention was to keep talking, but he genuinely just fell back asleep, which I believe because he was literally snoring moments later. I also double-checked with him that we both agreed the guest list was even, and we do both feel that way. Some friends are mutual and don't belong on one side or the other but are definitely a both sides thing. Everyone also said we should have a rule that if we want to add someone we need to take someone from our side away. We both agreed to that too. We're happy and talked it out. No toxicity or red flags here. Comment 1. Good job on talking it out. Also, everyone does/says stupid things when emotional and or super tired. Sounds like fiancé was both, if he was even fully awake. But the fact that he had a nightmare about this might mean that he is dealing with this issue on a subconscious level. Is there a way to get him, and maybe you too since you've also had to deal with these toxic people, to see a therapist and or using some mental health strategies? Mental health is important and super necessary to take care of. Comment 2. Wonderful update. People say the weirdest things in their sleep. My mom called me into her room last night to tell me to move cars in the driveway. She was thinking of an old house in NJ, I think. We only have one car and live on an acre in the sticks. You got it all straightened out and are good. Have a great wedding. If you enjoyed today's video, you'll like these ones too. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Am I the idiot for telling my sister-in-law to watch her mouth? My husband hosted a dinner party last night for his family. They tend to have a big 1, 2, or 3 times during the summer, and it was my husband's turn. It was also my 17-year-old son Luke and I's first time meeting his extended family. We both come from pretty well-off families, but he is pretty snobby from what my husband told me. I was a bit nervous, but Luke was a mess. My husband and his stepsisters tried comforting him, but by the time everyone arrived, he would not leave my side. It was okay-ish. They were definitely snobby, but most of them were okay. Maybe slightly out of touch but harmless. The real issue was dinner. Everyone was sitting at the dining table and my husband told us earlier that his family said grace before eating, so we were waiting for everyone to get situated. I then noticed Luke fidgeting and he was starting to sweat as well. I grabbed his hand to calm him down and he was shaking. I was extremely confused and concerned, and next thing I knew, he had taken a large bite of the mashed potato on his plate. Nobody cared or noticed except my sister-in-law, who was sitting right in front of him. She gasped very dramatically and said, "I can't believe he ate before Grace. How disrespectful." She then turned to my husband and said, "Your wife is lovely, but I'm getting bad vibes from the boy." I was shocked and immediately told her to watch her mouth. Her husband, sister-in-law's, not mine, then told me to watch my son. By that point, my husband told them to STFU or leave, so they shut up. But it was pretty awkward, and my sister-in-law was glaring at me the whole time. Before leaving, she told me that I ruined dinner and that she can see where my son gets his behavior from. She implied I was the idiot for telling her to watch her mouth and embarrassing her and being rude. My husband told me to ignore her, but his other sister and his mother as well are asking me to apologize and start disciplining my son. So am I the idiot? It's pretty low stakes, as I'm more concerned about my son's behavior. He's been acting extremely out of character, but I want some perspective. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. She disrespected your son in his own home after you made the accommodations for their religious practices that you clearly do not follow yourselves. The entitlement and cruelty of so many Christians really knows no bounds. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but also info? I'd have done the same thing. A guest in your own home telling your son, in his own home, that he's disrespectful in front of everybody isn't right at all. I'd understand if he said or did something rude or outrageous, but then it would be your job to say something discreetly with him. But for taking a bite of food before he saw it to be acceptable? Just no. Out of curiosity, why was your son so nervous that he wouldn't leave your side and was sweating and shaking? And also, is saying grace a normal part of your dinner times? Because if you don't do this often, he clearly didn't understand. Either way, not the idiot. You didn't allow a virtual stranger to embarrass your boy, the same way I wouldn't. Then the original poster responded with, "Glad to see that I didn't overreact. And the thing is, I'm not sure myself. He's usually very carefree, but something triggers him out of nowhere, and he turns into a different and extremely anxious person. We're taking him to a therapist soon though, so we're definitely getting to the bottom of it. And you know, we never do grace. Never something my family did." Now for the update. So I didn't expect to get so much attention from my original post, as I posted it at like 4 a.m., and it was really low stakes and something I posted out of pure curiosity. I was glad to see that I was not an idiot. To be honest, the only reason I was doubting myself is because my mother-in-law is probably the wisest person I know and was insistent that I was in the wrong. So the update. As a lot of you are aware, my focus was my son, and I told my husband as much, which he respected. He said he would deal with his sister, and he did. But my father-in-law had a pretty terrifying health scare, and we were forced to meet. I didn't want to cause a scene considering the circumstances, but my sister-in-law apologized for saying the things she said, but she also told me that she still believes that my son was disrespectful. She then told me that she had noticed him sneakily eating stuff off the dinner table all night, so before the dinner, and thought that was something I should be aware of. I told her that she needed to apologize to my son and IDC about what she finds disrespectful. She just walked off, so there wasn't much improvement there. She's also back in the States now, and we won't be seeing her for a while. As for my son, the things she told me about my son sneakily eating stuff concerned me for a couple reasons, and basically after pairing that with the extreme anxiety and similar behaviors with food, we managed to book an earlier appointment with not a therapist like originally planned, but our doctor. We were then referred to a mental health professional, and after some time he was diagnosed with OCD. Not gonna go into detail about that, but it's been pretty confusing, and I'm just thankful we were able to see a healthcare professional so quickly. We now have a therapy appointment specifically regarding his OCD in the next week, and we're taking this all one step at a time. Also, despite my mother-in-law's previous beliefs about the incident, she has been extremely supportive and told me that she's been thinking it over and that she doesn't think I was in the wrong, as I was just defending my child, who she believes did nothing wrong either. She apologized, and now we're cool again. Anyways, thanks for all the comments, and I really appreciate everyone's concern regarding my son. He's going to be okay, and so is our relationship with my husband's family. Comment 1. Any idea why sister-in-law's behavior at the dinner was so hostile? In the 44 years since I turned 18, no family event has included words as hostile as your sister-in-law's comments to you and your son. I'm sorry you experienced this. Then the original poster responded with, Husband just told me that she was just being nitpicky and wanted to find something to be upset about. She's also friends with his ex-wife, so there's that, but I don't think that's why, as his ex-wife and him ended things nicely, and she's been kind to me every time we've met. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Are you seriously trying to play the victim here? Your sister-in-law had every right to call out your son for disrespecting their religious practice. It's not about being snobba or out of touch, it's about showing basic respect in someone else's home. You should have taught your son better manners and explained the importance of grace before dinner. But instead of acknowledging your son's mistake, you lash out at your sister-in-law and tell her to watch her mouth. How dare you try to silence someone who is simply pointing out your son's inappropriate behavior? It's clear that you have no respect for other people's beliefs and traditions. Now, for the next story. Would I be the idiot if I denied my mom this? My mom is awesome. She is the epitome of what a mother should be. Might not have liked us all the time, but always loved us no matter what. When mom moved in with us, it was great. Loved having her here. Now there is a sibling that lives 1 mile down the road, one that lives 20 miles away, and 2 that live out of state. The only time any of them, kids, grandkids, or great-grandkids, would come to see her or just call and talk to her was when they wanted something, money. Mom has been pretty much ignored by all but us for a very long time. She would be so hurt some days, and she tried to hide it from us, but we knew. So, my husband and kids tried to make up for their sorry behavior. I would have to guilt trip them to give her any type of attention. When she got sick, I took care of her for as long as I could at home. But eventually she needed professional care, and unfortunately, I could not give her that. None of them offered to help take care of her. None of them offered any type of help with anything from taking her to doctor appointments, medicine, food when she went on a special diet, equipment, just nothing. When she had her heart attack, she told me what items she wanted me to give my siblings if she passed away. Thankfully, she pulled through. Now mom's health is really bad. Whenever she was in the hospital, none but my husband and kids would visit or stay with her. It's getting close to the end now, and all I have heard is what they want to have of moms. Other than what she has told me to give them, I wonder if I should. I really don't want to. I mean, they could not even be bothered to come visit with her, take her to lunch, or even just talk to her on the phone. She loves all of us unconditionally, but they cannot be bothered with her because it might interfere with their life. They mention how they want to rummage through all of mom's personal property to see if they want anything. I mean, seriously, these idiots are like maggots wanting to consume everything. I'm thinking about donating everything to charity. I would feel no shame at all and would be filled with glee while I smile and laugh right in their faces as I tell them what I've done. Petty, I know, but with everything that has gone on, I just don't believe they deserve anything. I do hate how they have made me feel so much anger towards them, but worse is how they have made mom feel. All of us, myself included, have treated her awful at one time or another. I am the youngest of 5, and although my time of being an age to her was in my teens, I still put her through hell. Yes, I grew up, but I was still a little poop. Just wanted to put it out there. So would I be the idiot if I don't fulfill mom's request? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, but for your mom's sake, give them whatever items she specifically told you to and nothing else. Take or donate the rest, and definitely don't give them the opportunity to rummage, especially since they did nothing to help her while she's alive. Your relatives are absolutely AHs and vultures. I'm so sorry about your mom. OP comment 2. Soft. You're the idiot. As hard as it is, you should fulfill your mom's dying wish. Give them what she said they could have and nothing else. If she's still able, have her put it in writing, a will, so they can't try and take what isn't theirs. Now for the update. First, let me say thank you to all that commented, and I really appreciated all the advice. Mom passed, and I was lucky enough to be with her when she took her last breath, and thankfully she did go peacefully. I did give my siblings the items that my mother requested, and as I suspected, they did what I knew they would. Did mom leave a life insurance policy? Did she have any money in the bank? I'm coming over and going through mom's stuff to see what I want. Like a swarm of locusts, they tried to descend. I would not allow them to go through her belongings. When I gave them the items mom specified, they looked at them and said, "That's it?" I also let them know there was no life insurance policy, and if they wanted, they could help me with her medical bills and help pay for the funeral. Guess how much they offered? Drum roll, nothing. I was so surprised. Anyway, I let them know when the service is, and after that I will be going no contact. But it would not surprise me if I received a court summons soon to produce any and all of mom's records because they don't believe she didn't have the loads of money that they were counting on. Comment 1. I'm so sorry for your loss. My dad and our family just went through the same thing with his mom and my grandma. People get so weird when someone they depended on suddenly needs you. The worst for us was my grandma's sister. Not that she was any good before my grandma got sick, they become vultures for things that aren't even theirs. Definitely go no contact, and don't give them a second thought, they aren't worth it. Comment 2. So sorry to hear about your loss, but I'm happy to hear it was peaceful. I believe you are right about a legal fight and would suggest that you beat them to the punch and go see a lawyer and secure your mother's estate before they send you anything. Blessing to you and your family. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for refusing to not attend my wife's baby shower? Last Saturday, my wife had her baby shower, which turned out to be a very long event from midday until 10 p.m. Prior to this, while we were planning the baby shower and sending out invites, I had initially intended to invite my entire family. However, my wife informed me that the baby shower was going to be female only, which confused me. In my family, I have attended baby showers for all my female relatives, so it felt like this was a cultural difference. Unfortunately, this meant I had to embarrassingly uninvite people after already sending out invitations. Initially, I didn't make a big deal out of it because it was my wife's special day. However, later on, she told me that the no men rule extended to me as well. I thought she was joking, but she was serious, explaining that it's customary in her family to have a ladies-only baby shower. At this point, I became upset. In a baby shower that I was paying for and planning, I was being excluded from my own wife's event in my own home. I found it absurd. The party lasted for about 10 hours, and I was expected to leave my own house for the entire duration. We argued back and forth about this issue. It just seemed ridiculous to me that as her husband, I was not allowed to attend my own wife's baby shower. Her sister overheard our argument and supported my wife's stance, saying that men are typically not invited to baby showers and that my presence would ruin the atmosphere and vibe. This disagreement occurred 3 weeks before the actual baby shower, and even on the day before the event, I tried reasoning with my wife again to let me stay, but she still refused. She also told some of her family members about our argument because I got an angry text from her mother telling me to just listen to what she says since the baby shower is for her, not me, and that she can decide whoever attends or doesn't. I still refuse to leave since it's our home and I'm literally paying for the event. I managed to compromise by just chilling in the backyard, where everyone else was inside. My wife still wasn't happy about it though. Am I the idiot here? There's no update, so here's a few comments. I can't get past OP paying for the shower. I've never seen that before. In my experience, baby/bridal showers are given by close friends as part of the gift. Having the new mom/bride plan and pay for the shower is ridiculous in my opinion. She's got enough going on already. I'm from Texas, so maybe it's a southern thing. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. You both should work on communicating better with each other. Baby showers are traditionally female only and co-ed. Baby showers are a more recent thing, with some cultures adopting the practice more openly than others. Your wife shouldn't have assumed that you knew this tradition though, and should have expressed her intentions while you guys were planning. If you enjoyed today's video, you'll like these ones too. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Am I the idiot for no longer making toys and furniture for my dead brother's ex after her new husband exploded on me? My brother died before his firstborn child was born. Because of this, I've had an above-average involvement in my nephew's life. One thing I've always done is build him toys and furniture. It was a way of providing without the awkwardness of handing over cash. Also, between my late brother's cash and life insurance via work, a trust was set up for my nephew £4,500,000. He wasn't actually married to my sister-in-law. Now via the lab at work, I've made him a lot of wooden or 3D printed toys, but also some simple handmade electronic toys. My sister-in-law was always grateful for these, and my nephew, by all accounts, loves his custom toys. Fast forward 3 years and my former sister-in-law has gotten married. I was attending my nephew's 3rd birthday and I turned up the night before to assemble his present. It was a small climbing frame/swing set I had watched better carpenters than me in the lab make. The new husband was a little standoffish, but on the day of the party he was telling anyone who listened that I didn't pay or make the present I had at work for free. This culminated in him calling all my presents an embarrassment, and given my fancy job I could afford to splash some cash. I confronted him and my former sister-in-law, and she basically confirmed that whilst the presents were appreciated, she honestly expected more direct support from me after my brother's death. My mother stepped in and reminded her my brother paid for this house and they regularly take cash out of the trust, approximate £10,000 a year. We walked out without hearing any worthwhile response, but I continued to see my nephew without incident. 6 to 7 months go by and I'm visiting only to be told my former sister-in-law was pregnant with twins, and she was wondering if I could make some duplicates of items I made for my nephew as they needed 2 sets. I scoffed, said she had balls asking me to make stuff after she was so ungrateful and I owe her unborn children very little. She got upset and explained her prior statements about my handmade gifts and said she felt they were the kinda little things someone did as a favor, not what a family provides. That's why she's asking me now as a friend to do her a favor and manufacture duplicates. I said no again, and her husband shouted through that it didn't matter, they would just use the trust to provide for kids like it's supposed to. I retorted that it was for my nephew and good luck accessing it for that because the trust requires my signature to pay out. I wasn't even home before he was calling me to apologize, clearly unaware I held the reins to my late brother's money. The apology was insincere and I asked to speak to my former sister-in-law, where I confirmed again I wouldn't be manufacturing her anything. I'll still be an uncle to my nephew and be impartial when it comes to her accessing my nephew's trust, but her husband has burned a lot of my goodwill with this. Am I the idiot for not doing her a favor after all that? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. First, my condolences on the loss of your brother. Your sister-in-law is beyond entitled. She lives in a house for your late brother and benefits from a trust, and then has the gall to criticize your gifts to your nephew. Outrageous. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Sorry for your loss. Your brother was so smart to give you control over the trust for your nephew. That ensures your nephew's position is protected both financially and in this new family. Sister-in-law's new husband is bad news and she doesn't seem to have good judgment. If you didn't have oversight on things, I bet your nephew would have been robbed and neglected by these greedy people. Now for the update. So, I've had a few requests for an update. So here goes. As highlighted in the comments of my last post, the main issue wasn't whether I manufactured anything for my former sister-in-law, it was the money my brother left his son. So whilst I felt it was an overreaction to their behavior to withhold gifts, I came to the conclusion I was underreacting to her husband's comments regarding my nephew's money. So I contacted the solicitor involved and pushed more responsibility onto them for signing off on money being withdrawn from the trust. She is required to enforce the trust's documentation fully, and this has meant no more withdrawing money without explicit proof it was for my nephew's benefit. To my former sister-in-law's credit, she understood why I did this. She was sensible enough to see these boundaries were not my doing but the insurance company's, and nothing has changed in regards to our relationship and the time I spend with my nephew. Unfortunately, her husband took things badly and hasn't spoken to me since. On top of this, for the following months he became incredibly petty regarding money. He would track to the last penny everything my nephew ate, drank, or played with. He was doing things like putting restaurant orders through with my nephew's food on a separate receipt or keeping track of prescription charges just so he could be in a position to claim the maximum value from the trust. The stress of raising their twins seems to have stifled this. Despite all the tracking, I've not been asked to sign off on anything thus far, but those receipts could still be claimed for. It's unfortunate, but I can't protect this money from legitimate, if petty, claims. I also fully expect the house bought with my brother's money would go to the husband of my sister-in-law to die giving their children together. She owns it outright with no strings attached. I've kept a close eye on how my nephew is being treated, and by all accounts this hasn't trickled down to how my SIL/her husband treats him at all. This seems to have been kept as a disagreement between adults regarding money, and my mother, who regularly babysits, claims her husband appears to be continuing to treat my nephew like his own. Despite that, our faith in my nephew's money being the safety net it was always intended to be has been shaken, so my recently departed grandmother got the ball rolling on starting a second, much more ironclad, pool of money for my nephew. It's nothing overly elaborate, just money my late brother would have been entitled to skipping straight to my nephew. Ideally this won't have to be relied upon, but between what my grandmother set aside and our mother's intended, well, my nephew will have enough for a head start in life regardless of what happens to his existing money. It isn't a perfect solution, but when it comes to inheritance and family money there rarely is. Oh, and in what's kinda become a side issue. I made the furniture in the end. Comment 1. It's still shameful how the husband made such an issue about money and your former sister-in-law following suit. Comment 2. Wow, the pettiness of this man. He is going to do his darndest to drain that boy's money. His sister-in-law is complacent in this. I pray he has some left over when he reaches adulthood. Comment 3. You're the idiot. Seriously? You're still holding on to your petty grudges and trying to control your late brother's money? It's clear that you have a power trip going on, thinking that you have the ultimate say in everything. And now you're gloating about how you started a second trust fund just to have more control over the money? Your sister-in-law's husband may have made some petty actions regarding receipts, but you've taken it to a whole new level of vindictiveness. It's not about protecting your nephew's future, it's about asserting your dominance and ensuring that you have the final say in everything. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for making my wife sleep on the couch? Me, male 28, and my wife, female 26, have a 6-month-old little girl together, who still needs formula and milk. I work and my wife usually takes care of her. Whenever I get days off from work, I'll take care of our daughter and my wife can just get a break. Sometimes she visits friends, or other times she just stays home and relaxes. 3 days ago was a day off for me, and for the week prior I told my wife that I was going to take this one day to myself after a long time of no breaks. Come the day of my relaxation, my wife wakes me up to tell me she's leaving to go out with friends and to take care of my daughter. She left before I could really say much, and I was livid. I obviously can't just ignore our daughter, so I took care of her for the entire day and had multiple times where I was just sitting next to her because I knew something was about to happen. I was usually right in those situations. In some of my brief moments of freedom, I called my wife to tell her that she should come home, and I would like some form of a break for one day. Finally, I grabbed a pillow and blanket and threw them on the couch and waited for her to come home. When she did, I told her next time I had a day off, I'm taking a change of clothes to my car, so there is no chance of a repeat today. I then told her the baby was asleep and that I'm getting the bedroom to myself tonight. I went to sleep in the middle of the bed, spread eagle style, so she wouldn't move back and next to me. The next morning, my wife told me that I was an AH for doing that, and bringing a change of clothes to my car next time wouldn't be necessary. I don't feel like I did anything wrong here, but maybe I did. So am I the idiot? Edit. Apparently this needs clarification. She acknowledged and agreed to my day off. I take care of my daughter every morning, evening, and some nights. I do not only pay attention to her on days off. Now, for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. I think you were very restrained. Your wife deserves a break sometimes, but so do you. Her taking off early in the morning when she knew it was your break day was a true AH move on her part. You making her sleep on the couch was awesome. I'm sure some folks will call you an AH for that move. But here's the deal. If the roles were reversed, I doubt if your wife would have been kind enough to let you sleep on the couch. You might have been sleeping in the car. I think you did absolutely nothing wrong. The only idiot in this story is the woman who you made to sleep on the couch. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. You both need to grow up and learn to communicate better. Now for the update. So I completely forgot about Reddit for a while, but we had a discussion and admitted we were both being childish and needed to do better for each other and for our child. My mother came into town 2 weeks after the post and wanted a grandmother and granddaughter bonding day, so we obviously took that chance to have a date night. My daughter has gotten much better with sleeping all night, and it's been pretty good all around. Thank you all for the kind advice, and to those who thought we would be divorcing over something small like that. I wish you luck in your relationships. We've had more and more date nights when we can, and I think our relationship is at its strongest at this point. Comment 1. What's the car and clothes thing about? Then the original poster responded with, I was mostly frustrated, but it was basically I parked the car in the driveway and I'm ready to go to the gym or wherever on my day off before I could be surprised to learn I would no longer have a day off. Comment 2. I don't know if this is my place to talk, and I'm glad your relationship is going well, but I don't think you were to blame here at all. All you asked for was one day off, and she agreed and proceeded to not give two flips about it. That's pretty rude. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for still going to a party while my dad was in the hospital? We live in the same city. I am estranged from my parents. We have always had a difficult relationship. I went no contact with my parents about 3 years ago after we had a fight about if I was ever going to marry someone. They accused me of sleeping with men, being a degenerate, and some other accusations which were not true at all. It had been a long time coming, as they had always disapproved of me pursuing a stressful career which left me no time to have children and be a good wife. These are things I don't want. I have no interest in sexual relationships or having children. I have tried to explain that those things are not what I wanted in my life, but they never believed me at all. It was stressful and made me deeply unhappy. Honestly, the last 3 years have been the happiest in my life. My parents make me deeply unhappy about myself, and they make my self-esteem issue worse. No contact has been the best thing that I ever did. I was going to a small party hosted by my best friend. I was halfway there when my brother called and told me that Dad was sick and was being taken to the hospital. I told him that I was busy and asked him if wanted money, and told him I would send some money the next day. He was fine with it. This party was pretty important. My best friend and her husband had been struggling to get pregnant, and she had miscarried once before. It absolutely broke them, but she is pregnant now, and the doc said the risk of miscarriage was mostly past, and they wanted to tell our little band of friends. I wanted to be there for her, and yet pandemic has not been easy for any of us. I really wanted to make some happy memories. My brother called me the next day, and he called me cold-hearted for not coming over to be there with Dad and called me ungrateful. I think he saw the stories one of my friends posted. I feel guilty now. I should have gone. I think I am his daughter, and he does care for me in his own way. I just decided on the spot I would rather be with my best friend than my family. I feel it is a bit of a selfish decision. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. You owe your parents nothing. They pushed you away and expected you to keep coming back for more abuse. Choose your own happiness. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Your post comes across as if you feel guilty about not caring more. Don't beat yourself up, there is clearly a good reason behind you going no contact. You can't just decide to care if at heart you don't. All you could do is pretend, and it's debatable whether that would help anyone. He does care for me in his own way. It's rather telling that you felt the need to qualify that. Now for the update. I got many supportive comments, and I realized I wasn't in the wrong. I told my brother that I would send him all the money he needed for his treatment, but I wouldn't be visiting him or Mom. My dad recovered, but he was in a wheelchair for a while when he got out of the hospital. My brother contacted me and said he wanted to talk to me, and he said my dad sounded really apologetic, and he begged me to give him a chance. I did, and my dad apologized. He said he had been in a lot of pain, and he was scared that he would die while they took him to the hospital, and it made him realize that he would rather have me in my life than not. He said that they were willing to accept any decision I would take. They wanted me in their life, and that they have missed me. I was moved, honestly. My dad never lies. He speaks what is in his mind, and I trusted him. I have been to 3 dinners and they have been nice. I hope they continue to be nice. I love them, and I wish we could go back to the relationship I had in high school. Comment 1. Unfortunately, being near death is when most people realize they've been an idiot. Some are fortunate enough to survive to make amends. I wish you and your parents the best. It sounds like they legitimately saw the error of their ways. Comment 2. Take the words from your dad with a grain of salt. Me and my dad never got along. He provided me with education and other necessities, not love or time. My dad had a near paralysis experience. 2 surgeries to his spinal cord that left him bedridden for months. The man I've never seen cry broke down and said, "I should have spent more time with my son." I believed him. Then as he got better, he reverted back to his old self. If you enjoyed today's video, you'll like these ones too. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.